Welcome to session 9, the world, their environment, living. Session 9, we are going to focus on where these characters that we've dreamed about, we've written about, we've mapped out, where do they live? It is so important. Hi, I'm Vanessa Riley, and I am walking you through 10 sessions on how to build a character. And this session is the world. It's important. The world dictates so many things: culture, setting, scenery, weather patterns, so many different things. And it's important. Uh, I'll give you a pro tip. When I first write a story, I'm pretty vanilla. Everything is white walls, white floors, heck, white sky. And that's because I really want to get through nailing the progression of the story, the beginnings of character arcs, etc., etc. But when I go back, but I've already decided where I was setting the story. Is it in present day? Is it in the past? What part of the world? Because that's going to influence things. When someone is in the Caribbean, there's the salt and the sand and the sea, the coconuts and the water. And depending upon where you are in the Caribbean, uh, the waters will be anything from green, blue to brown. And then literally, the closer you get to the equator, it's going to turn a little bit more brown. That's some of the research that you need to do when you are deciding where to put your people. But I want you to think about, you know, the time period. That's the first thing. When are they? Is this the past? Is it the present? Because that helps you know exactly the technology that's around. You know, we have cell phones now. Everybody didn't have cell phones. Some people grew up with black and white TV. I know, crazy, right? Streaming, that was never a thing. It's a thing now, right? So, depending upon when you set your world, that's very, very important. If you're creating a futuristic world, you kind of have to define all these different things. What does technology look like? What do modern, everyday regular folk have access to? What do the extraordinary people have access to? In our world, riches is defined by cars and houses and bank accounts and things like that. We know those things but what does riches look like in the 1300s? It may just be a fishing boat, being able to get a great catch. These are things you have to consider. Um, where it is, it's going to tell you about the cultures you're going to visit. You know, being in New York City and then the access to food and different cultures just by walking in certain blocks is going to be a very different experience than, let's say, Aiken, South Carolina, some, small town in the South. You have to consider all of that. If you're doing a real city versus a made up city, people actually can go and figure out if you got the right streets. It can be difficult. When I do research for my historicals, I've got maps. I'm trying to get the maps that are as accurate to the time period that I'm doing as possible. So maps from the 1300s, 1600s, 1800s, 1900s. I'm collecting them all because, places change, colonizers, occupiers change different things. You have to know it because that's the story you're telling. This adds realism, and you want that. Also, let's think about um, societal norms, economic
at
factors.
it
I'm
is,
a big
what
proponent of knowing how
lesson
money
do I
works
want my
in any
character to learn
society,
by the end of the
whether
book?
it's in the past, the present, or something you made up. Know how the money works. Know how people how they earn money, how they spend money. Where does money go in the society? Very key, because that's going to help your world feel real, and you'll know what everyday pressures are. That access to getting income is very, very important. Let's see. We know about the environment and weather, types of flowers. All of these things are important, or or may not be important to your story, but it adds realism to think about it. You're walking in a park, the person can see the flowers when they're walking about. You just say they're flowers, as opposed to daisies or roses or azaleas. Very different, different smells, different sensory expectations can happen. So it's very important that you know where your people are and design that world. Now, I've set it as 9 in our sessions because truthfully, you got to know your people first. General idea of where your story might be one of the first things, but based on the people and the story you're going to tell, you might move it. And by putting it here as number 9, I've given you the opportunity to really get to know your characters. If you've been working the exercises and writing up everything in your journal, you know your characters much better than when you started. And that is the point. Now, for a prompt, I would love for you to take the character you've been working with and give them a favorite place. Describe this favorite place. Why is it their favorite? Do they feel protected in this place? And how does this place reflect their personality? I love this prompt because I want you guys to think about, is the setting another character in the story? Certain settings evoke mystery or romance, or I'm going to a royal court. It's all about the setup. Environments shape behaviors and worldviews, and there's so much context and subtext that you can add to a scene just because of the way you have decorated that scene and how your characters interact with the setting. So it's extremely important. This is just a tidbit. Probably can go on and on and on and on for days. But I hope you're getting this. I hope you're working through. And we only have one more session to go. Look to see you then.